up, you guys? This is Rob from the Guy Plays, and today on this snapshot, we're going to be taking a look at Nova's newest augment, Molecular Fission, as well as my adaptation build that goes along with it to make her into a bit of a demi-tank? Is that the right word for it? Regardless, as you can see in the background, I do have a little bit of in-game footage of me doing some testing because I don't know what it is. When you show things off in the simulacrum, people get angry. They're like, you haven't actually done any playtesting. I'm like, honey, I've got 6,000 hours of in-game mission type. I haven't spent it all in the simulacrum, baby, okay? Just letting you know. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump on it. Now, you can pick up Nova's Molecular Fusion for 25,000 standing after you reach rank 5 with either Steel Meridian or Cephalon Suda. And dicks. Alright, so let's go ahead and kick things off with a little bit of a stress test between Null Star and Adaptation. So as you can see right here, we have the full 90% stack from Null Star, and then we've got Adaptation with a little bit of help of Arcane Guardian and Arcane Grace together, and Nova's in a pretty good spot. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, she usually doesn't perform as good as this. She's like getting really lucky on this round, but you know, standard Novas usually are not able to survive this well, and this is actually really awesome because we finally got the last piece of the puzzle for the tanky Nova build. So while we have a Null Star going, which is absolutely fantastic, the thing with Null Star is if we run into enemies, of course, those nullifying stars kind of fly off and hit the enemy, right? But with the new augment, with the Molecular Fissure augment, we're able to go ahead and let's get a couple in there. With the new augment, we're able to go ahead and restore those. So I went from 16 back up to a full 18 when it comes to my damage reduction. Of course, each of those stars is 5% damage reduction. Now, you combine the tankiness that we just saw from Nova, and you combine it with her ability to slow enemies, and not only, because you're not only just slowing their movement speed, you're also slowing their fire rate. So they're shooting at you slower, you're becoming extra tanky, you can deal extra damage to them because of Molecular Prime, and you're able to restore any lost charges of Null Star that you get, and ooh! It is just juicy. She is absolutely savage, and I'm really loving this. I'm going to be honest with you. I was in a little bit of a Warframe slump. I was like, I don't really know how I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm a little bit down. I'm like, not really all that inspired. And then I got my hands on this, and I was like, I see something. I see something on the verge of being amazing. So I actually went ahead and tested this out in a couple places, as you guys saw from the footage. But basically what happened is I wanted to go ahead and take her into Kuva Survivals and then the Profit Taker fight. Now, the reason I wanted to go for the Profit Taker fight is because, I'll be honest, you could easily get mowed down very quickly if you're not paying attention in that fight. So for her to be able to stand there and not die was actually kind of amazing, but you know, it'd be a lie if I said that I didn't die, because I did. There were a couple times where I died, but legitimately the only reason that I died is because I got like knocked off into the river. You know, some of those, like, what is it called? Like, you know how they have like the lake hit boxes? I know that lakes don't have hit boxes, but you know when you get into it and you're like, oh shit, wait. I'm, you know, having to refresh all of my buffs because I got thrown into the middle of the lake. Yeah, that's basically what ended up happening to me. And then, because I didn't have Null Star on, didn't have my damage reduction, I definitely died. So as you can see right there, I did lose one of my Null Stars, but it's okay. I'll get it back by killing this motherfucker right here. So as you can see, can you hold still, please? There you go. He's dead, so I was able to go ahead and get it back. Oh, I just randomly shot the Batacore without paying any attention whatsoever. So that is one of the things that you do need to keep in mind. You need to make sure that you have your Null Star on in order to get more Null Star charges. I know that sounds weird. I'm not grabbing any health. That was just ammo because I'm too lazy to use my Batacore. But as you can see, with all of these things in play, it feels very similar to the Equinox Peaceful Provocation build. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what that is, Equinox's Pacify ability makes enemies deal less damage the closer they are to her. And then with Peaceful Provocation, what ends up happening is the more damage Equinox takes, she's able to slow down enemies. So you get this slow and damage debuff at the same time, which is very similar to what is going on here with Nova and her Molecular Prime ability. She's getting all of these great buffs, And she's able to slow down enemies as well as their fire rates, which means they're not shooting as often. She's able to restore health with grace a lot better. Let's make sure to kill anything that's out on the field so that, you know, if we just chillin', they're not going to shoot at us. So she's able to stay alive for that. The only other issue that I had to, and this is one of the things I want you guys to keep in mind, is make sure that you're paying attention to how many of the little balls that you have on you, because the other time that I died was during the Kuva survival, and I kind of forgot to not kill enemies, but I think I was like running through an area, like a really, really tight area, and I was down to like 10 orbs, and then I think I got sniped, because at that point in time there were no more enemies around me, and there was like no fire patches on the ground or anything. I was just like, I'm dead. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on your orbs, and you make sure that you're killing enemies and all of that kind of junk. But for those of you guys who did not read the description a little bit earlier in the, what to call this, show, in the episode, in the video, Molecular Fusion, when killed, primed enemies will restore a null star charge and have a 100% chance of restoring an additional one. Now, from what I've seen so far, this is definitely not affected by power strength. I tried it with overextended and it kept restoring 2. I thought at one point that it only restored 1, but the thing that you need to keep in mind with running overextended with this is you've also overextended your, what is it called, your null star. So your null stars are going to go running away from you fairly quickly. So you don't get the tankiness that you normally would with the kind of build that I'm running now. So as you can see, we've got Molecular Fusion in there, and that's going to give us 2 orbs every time we kill an enemy. I've also got Narrow-Minded in. Now, Narrow-Minded, you know, some people like to run this, some people don't like to run this with the Nova, but I really, really do. Narrow-Minded keeps it so that all of your Null Star orbs stick around you and they don't go flying around left, right, and center. So that way you get the damage reduction and it's a little bit more consistent. We have our adaptation in there. You know, when damaged, 10% resistance to that damage type for 20 seconds, stacks up to 90%. That's kind of like one of the cruxes, and then we go ahead and stack in our duration mods. So we have Narrow-Minded, we have Prime Continuity, Augur Message, and Constitution, and that should get you to the 90% damage reduction when it comes to Null Star. As you can see, I've got Streamline in there. It's my only efficiency mod. You guys know that I love efficiency. But what we're gonna be able to play around with, at least in my personal feelings, is you'll be able to kind of like mess around with your augments a little bit. See, the thing that I was running into when I was in public missions is people did not like Nova's slow. People did not like Nova's slow whatsoever. So if you really want to do that, you can go ahead and drop Power Drift. Or you can also go and drop Power Drift, replace it with something else, like maybe, what's the speed casting one? I think it's Speed Drift. You can cast it with Speed Drift. That's one of the ones that I was looking at because of the fact that the casting speed is a little bit quicker. You can also replace it with Escape Velocity, really anything that you want from, you know, the Exilus slots. But one of the things that you can do is with Energy Siphon, you can go ahead and do Power Donation. So you can actually contribute a portion of your power strength to your allies, and basically you can run a normal speed Nova or an almost normal speed Nova. That way you don't kind of piss off any of the people that you're playing with. If you're worried about spawns in defense missions, if you're worried about spawns in survival missions, all of that kind of stuff, that is definitely an option. It's not an option that I really care that much about. I'm like, listen, you're gonna be okay with like a 45% speed, slow speed. It keeps you alive, it keeps us alive. You're gonna be fine. The little canisters that are sucking up the Kuva, they ain't gonna die as fast. You know, just chill. But some people are really like, how dare you slow things? So that's definitely an option for you if you want there. Now, another thing that I would suggest, if you really like the slow, you can go ahead and drop Augur Message, and you can go ahead and put on an Intensify if you so feel like it, in order to kind of keep enemies super slowed, if that's what you want. But if you want the full slow, it's Intensify and Power Drift. So definitely keep that in mind. So that's the build that I'm working with right now. We went ahead and tossed in a Grace and Guardian. Now for tankier frames, I like to run double Grace, but for really super squish frames, Arcane Guardian gives them a nice flat boost. As you can see right here, it's 600 armor for 20 seconds, so that's plus the help from Arcane Grace, plus adaptation, plus the 90% from Null Star, just keeps her nice and healthy. So that's been my build for her. Feel free to, you know, adapt it to whatever you like to do with Nova. That's one of the things that I kind of definitely want to impress upon people, because I think that a lot of people go around, especially the YouTubers, leave the YouTubers alone. Y'all fucked up. Like, this is how I do it. You're doing it wrong. And it's like, no, we're not doing it wrong. We're just not doing it the same way that you're doing it. So our build, since we're not doing the exact same thing as you're doing, we're not playing the exact same way as you're playing, are going to differ because we've tailored our builds for us. So make sure when you see a build like mine, which I'm very, very happy with personally, feel free to tailor it to how you want to tailor it. But regardless, that about does it for me for now. Hopefully that was helpful and handy to all of you guys. Let me know if you need any more clarification down in the comments below. Maybe if you're a little bit newer, we need to talk about the fact that the duration on on Nova's molecular prime increases the range because the duration lets it spread out longer, so that you're aware of that. Having something like narrow-minded isn't going to affect the spread of it negatively. It'll hurt the explosion radius of this and AMD, so kind of hurts there, but this does keep you alive for longer, so you just got to pick which matters more to you. Again, do with what you will with the builds, and that about does it for me for now. Hopefully you guys are loving this mod as much as I am. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.